Welcome to everyone, and thank you very much for your interest in our master programs. I'm Alessio Coria, the chair of the Master in Political Communication at WCT University. I'm now going to briefly introduce the program. Let me share our slides. So, here we are, Master in Political Communication. Before talking about our master program, let me briefly introduce the School of Communication at WCT University, which is where our master is based and is also where I'm proud of working at. So the school is an internationally focused center for excellence in teaching and research in the areas of media, communications, and journalism. The school is ranked in the top 150 universities worldwide for communication and media studies, and is also ranked as the best communication course in Ireland. Additionally, DCU scores as the 23rd in the world and the first in Ireland for our actual rate of graduates employed within 12 months of course completion. So it's a school that drives to very good employment rates. So the staff is composed of great scholars and practitioners focusing on media studies, sociological studies, journalism, and the creative arts. We all have a strong international vocation. Take my case as an example. I arrived at DCU in September 2018. After 3 years, I spent as a research fellow at the University of Oxford. I was previously working at the University of Perugia in Italy. This was just an example. Many other members of the staff of the School of Communication came from internationally well-established universities or have previous experience in journalism and other creative sectors, and they all worked in well-reputed international organizations and institutions. At the moment, we have more than 1,000 students across our postgraduate and undergraduate programs. So I'm now going to provide some key information on the Master in Political Communication, the one that I chair. The program overall aim is to provide students with key concepts and key skills that will allow them to better understand and better navigate the changing relationship between the media, politics, and the public. Our media environment is changing rapidly. We all know that. We see how our media environment is becoming increasingly digital, increasingly participatory, meaning based on the active participation of users and citizens in communication flows, and is marked by an increasingly central role of social media platforms, which are changing the rules of the game. So these changes affect how politics is communicated to citizens and by citizens, as well as how politics is represented and performed in the media. So this is the right program for students who want to understand how the relationship between the media, politics, and the public is changing, and how this has an impact on the quality of our democratic process and on the distribution of power within our society. You should apply for this program if you are interested in topics like the media coverage of politics, the role of spin, fake news, agenda setting, public relations, and political advertising and digital media. Our master prepares you for a range of careers in the world of politics and public relations, as well as in government, national and multinational companies, and the not-profit sectors. Graduates of the program have political, policy and media advisory roles in all the main political parties in Ireland and in the European Parliament. and also work as senior officials in many government departments. They are also pursuing successful careers in leading public relation companies and across the not-for-profit and corporate sectors. Our students have access to scholars who are particularly active in research. And for example, our school is part, and many of the scholars that teach across our master program are a part of research centers based at the School of Communication at DCU, like, for example, FUJO, the Institute for Future Media, Democracy and Society, and the Interdisciplinary Digital Research Group. There are many other centers we are part of, like, for example, the Anti-Corruption Network, the Anti-Corruption Center at DCU, and other important centers where we conduct research on a daily basis. Our program is both theoretical and practical. The theoretical concepts that we focus on enable students to interpret and better understand contemporary media and political developments. But we also help our students to develop practical skills, the practical skills that are needed to design and to manage in practice political and social campaigns. So we have theory, but students also do real hands-on research for their classes and especially for their dissertation. We are proud of being able of offering our program both full-time and part-time. In terms of our full-time program, it's a matter of having between 6 and 9 hours a week classes during term time, and 2 to 5 hours a week of classes for the part-time program. Generally, our classes for both the part-time and the full-time program take place between from Monday to Tuesdays and from 4 to 8 p.m. Plus, you have to consider that students are expected to devote a substantial amount of time of independent study time. Student-wise, our program is also quite international. We have a lot of students coming from Ireland, but we also have students coming from other European countries, and from the US, from China, and from India, and from other countries around the world. Our students are also quite diverse in terms of age. We have students that have recently graduated, and we also have more mature students that look at our program because these helps them in their future career progression. Our student cohorts include communication and PR professionals, activists, techies, journalists, NGO staff, and government employees. And as I have already mentioned, our graduates end up holding senior position in the worlds of politics and public relations, as well as in government, business corporation, and NGOs. Examples of positions held by our graduates, so the graduate of the Master in Political Communication, include, I provide just some example, analyst at LinkedIn, director of advocacy at Focus Ireland, external communications official at the Bank of Ireland, director of news at Storyful, senior public affairs manager at Vodafone, policy officer at the Department of Justice in Ireland, media manager for a rugby team, account director for Insight PR, policy officers for the Department of Justice, and financial education manager for the Competition Authority. Plus, we have got position with various senior media roles at the main Irish political parties, as you can see in the last part of the slide. So in terms of the specific modules that are part of our programs, these include, for example, political communication concepts and issues. The first module that you can see listed in the slide. This is a module which explores the interplay between politicians, news media, and the public, and introduces students to some of the key theories and debates in the field of political communication. Key topics addressed by this module include theories such as media facts, agenda settings, media framing, but also recent and relevant debates addressing timely topics. For example, how social media relates to the spread of fake news and the rise of populism, because there are debates taking on in the public sphere on whether social media, for example, are worsening the quality of democratic deliberation, how politics is communicated, the rise of filter bubbles and echo chambers, the rise of populism. So we address these debates by looking at empirical and scholarly evidence. So what other scholars have, or what we as researchers have found out in order to contribute to this debate. The second module that you see listed in the slide is the political campaign. This module, compared to the previous one, has a more practical nature and focuses on the communication strategies adopted to influence the media coverage and to influence public opinion. Topics addressed here include campaign management techniques, leadership and political debates, political advertising, and marketing. The third module that you can see listed is media and politics in Ireland, and focuses on how national media institutions in Ireland report and shape political discourse in contemporary Ireland. Another module is social media, journalism, and democracy, which focuses on the social media impact on political, economic, and social life, and the implications for journalism and the civic engagement. Examples of topics covered within this module are algorithms and the power of platforms. Facebook, Google are increasingly influential platforms able to reshape entire societal and economic sectors. Echo chambers and filter bubbles, digital media and political polarization. These are all examples of topics addressed by this module. Another module is data communication, which addresses the theoretical and practical aspects of retrieving, organizing, and presenting data across a range of formats. We are living in the era of big data, we know that. And this module enables students to understand and to make decisions based on large amounts of data. Introduction to Research and Research Methodologies are two modules that provide an overview of the most commonly used methods in communication research. We have recently expanded this module as this is key in order to enable students to conduct the research activities that will end up in their dissertation work. So students at the end of our program, we will work on a dissertation. They will select a topic that they consider particularly relevant for their career or because of their personal interest, and we enable them to conduct research on the topic they select by adopting common methods that are normally used within social sciences, and in particular within political sciences and sociology and media studies, in order to conduct a research that is scientifically sound and valid. Communication policy is another module that we offer to our students and helps them to think analytically and in a creative manner on how policy is communicated to audiences and how policy solutions can be framed to make them better understood and to gain greater public acceptance. This module also offers practical guidance to writing public policy and show examples of where the framing of the policy was the difference between success and failure. We then have a range of optional modules where students can select the module that they think is more in line with their career ambitions. Example of optional modules that can be selected include public relations, media audiences, which focuses on audiences changing media use and enables students to conduct rigorous and effective audience analysis and research. Gender and sexuality in digital culture, which explores issues relating to gender, sex, and sexuality as they are mediated through various aspects of our digital culture. For example, internet pornography, social networking sites, or online dating. And we have other modules that you can see listed in the last point in our slide, like political economy of the media and the political economy of the environment. In terms of structure, students have to complete 60 credits in course modules. They have to do so in 1 year for full-time students. This normally goes from September to the end of August, or in 2 years for part-time students. At the end of each module, students are normally required to submit an essay or to submit a more practical assignment, like a project brief, group presentations, etc. Additionally, at the end of the year for full-time student, or at the end of the second year for part-time students, students have to work generally from April, May on until the end of August. They have to work to complete a research thesis, a dissertation, which is normally a piece of research of 15,000 words, which is worth 30 credits. So it's a particular important part of their course program. In terms of entry requirements, we require students, applicants to have a degree at the level of an Irish or UK honors undergraduate degree. So, and we expect them to have a A2.2 mark or above, but we also consider related professional experience. So students that are have already worked in the field of communication, political communication, or in other related field are also considered for our master program. Applicants are asked to provide their CV and a personal statement. Pay attention to the personal statement, because is what we evaluate in order to understand how students, what are the motivations that drive students to apply for our program. So we pay particular attention to the personal statement as well. International candidates who are not native English speakers should provide evidence of their language skills. So they have to provide this evidence. Everything is very well explained in our online prospectus. prospectus. This is the code for our program that you need to know if you want to apply. There are two different codes. One is for the full-time program. The other one is for the part-time program. More information is, you can find more information in our online prospectus, which is hosted on the DCU website. So thank you very much again for your interest in our program, and hopefully let's see each other soon. Bye bye. Thank you very much.